Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into the story of Potato and Radish. It's this incredible journey from broken sandals to massive corporate success. We're looking at a classic motivational fable here, a real rags-to-riches story that perfectly blends the raw pain of hardship with the ultimate triumph of hard work and, you guessed it, true love. If you love seeing how relentless determination can completely rewrite someone's destiny, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to unpack the fascinating journey of these two characters, Potato and Radish, tracing their path from absolute village poverty all the way to the top of the corporate ladder.
Okay, let's dive into this. The big question driving our entire narrative today is simply this. Can a broken heart actually turn a poor village cobbler into a millionaire CEO? I mean, it sounds like a massive leap, right? No way that happens in real life. But as we go through this explainer, we're going to see exactly how emotional pain, when it's channeled correctly, can become the ultimate fuel for unthinkable success. So let's look at where this story actually begins.
Which brings us to part one of our story, a poor potato's struggle and the deep pain of poverty in the village.
You know, before there's any success, there's just survival. And for our main character, survival is hanging by an incredibly thin thread. Our hero, Potato, is a village cobbler. Picture him just sitting there in the dust, working from dawn to dusk. His financial situation is, frankly, dire. He's exhausted, he's hungry, and he literally spends his days just desperately praying for a single customer so he can afford a tiny handful of rice. It's a heartbreaking existence. He's putting in all this effort, but the reward is barely enough to keep him alive. We're talking just half a stomach's worth of food a day. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer emotional toll he's dealing with on top of that physical hunger. The villagers aren't just ignoring him, they are actively cruel. They mock him relentlessly, telling him his face looks like the broken sandals he fixes and that he actually deserves this extreme poverty. I mean, imagine sitting with that complete lack of self-worth every single day. But amidst all this cruelty, he does find one bright spot, a friendship with a villager named Radish, whose sandals he actually repairs.
And that leads us to part two, heartbreak and a new path, the catalyst for change.
So they have the single, seemingly magical day out in a beautiful city park, and it completely changes their dynamic. Potato's just overwhelmed by this glimpse of a better life and his deep connection with Radish, right? So he finally gathers the courage to confess his love to her. But the response he gets? Absolutely devastating. Radish tells him, friendship doesn't mean you can consider me your life partner. It is a crushing rejection. Potato is totally shattered. But in that moment, he realizes something crucial. As long as he stays in this village, poor and mocked, nothing is ever going to change. So in this moment of intense, blinding pain, he makes a vow. He is going to leave the village behind, and he will not return until he is a highly successful man.
Let's move to and see how this builds into his new reality. He's literally running from his past in the village, the mockery, the extreme poverty, the shattered heart, and he's stepping right into the big city. We're talking massive skyscrapers, endless opportunities, the whole shebang. It is incredibly intimidating for a village cobbler, obviously, but to Potato, it represents a blank canvas. It's his one big chance at a completely new life.
This brings us to the most energetic part of our explainer, part three, the climb to success and redefining destiny through hard work.
Here is where Potato truly redefines his destiny. He walks right up to a corporate office and just asks for a job. When they ask what he can actually do, he simply promises the boss one thing. He is never, ever afraid of hard work. And you know what? The boss takes a chance on him. Just track this trajectory for a second. It's wild. Day one, he arrives in this massive, overwhelming city. By day two, through sheer willpower, he secures a corporate job. And what his colleagues quickly notice is that Potato is always the first person to arrive in the morning and the absolute last person to leave at night. When the company suddenly needs a new CEO, just 30 days later, Potato doesn't just rely on sweat equity. He proves his strategic value, completely skipping the traditional corporate ladder. And then, years later, comes the ultimate milestone, returning to the village. But wait, how exactly did he jump to CEO so fast?
Now, what's really interesting about this is the number 40%. Potato didn't just work long hours. He brought a massive 40% profit increase to the entire company in a single month. How on earth did he do that? Well, by looking at the business with completely fresh eyes. Let's break down his exact strategy into three really simple steps. Step one, he analyzed the company's operations and innovated their packaging, which drastically reduced their overhead costs. Step two, because of those reduced costs, he effectively doubled the company's profit margins. It wasn't just blind effort, right? It was highly strategic thinking, which leads directly to step three. He earned the boss's absolute trust. The boss didn't just hand him the CEO title, he gave Potato Company shares, instantly transforming him from a poor village cobbler into an incredibly wealthy, powerful man. Talk about a real game changer. And with that wealth and success secured, we enter Part 4, the triumphant return and facing the past.
So years have gone by. Potato finally decides it's time. Time to go back to the exact spot where he used to sit in the dust and fix sandals. But this time, he rolls up in a massive luxury car. He is completely transformed, and the first thing he does is ask to see Radish. So the crucial point is what happens next, because it totally flips the narrative we've understood so far. For years, Potato believed Radish abandoned him simply because he was poor. But the truth, which he finds out from a mutual friend, was that Radish actually pushed him away to protect him. Her father was incredibly strict and would have literally thrown Potato out of the village if they had stayed together. Radish never stopped loving him. In fact, she had been waiting for his return every single day.
Wow. This revelation just changes everything for Potato. But it leaves us with a massive point of suspense here. Will Radish's strict father accept the village cobbler now? Sure, Potato isn't the same man, but the father's prejudice might still be there, right? This time, however, Potato refuses to run away. He decides to face the father head-on and ask for Radish's hand in marriage.
Which brings us to our final act. Love and final victory. Character over wealth. When Potato finally confronts the father, it is an incredibly tense moment. The father notes that Potato is a wealthy man now, but Potato quickly stops him right there. He says he didn't become big through money, but through hard work and character. And the father's response? It's the emotional climax of our whole explainer. He tells Potato, "Today you have proven that a person's true identity is known by their heart and their hard work." The father completely approves the marriage. In this single moment, all of Potato's years of suffering, his relentless work ethic, and his unwavering love are entirely validated.
The story just resolves beautifully from there. They have the absolute grandest wedding the village has ever seen. But they don't stay there. They make a triumphant return to the city together. Potato shows Radish his massive corporate office, and he tells her something so profound. He says it was the memory of her that never allowed him to give up. They finally get to share a life of success and love together.
Before we wrap up today, let's quickly distill the core takeaways from this remarkable story. First, never mock someone's poverty. You truly have no idea what they are capable of achieving. Second, as Potato proved beyond a shadow of a doubt, hard work and honesty truly can rewrite your destiny. Third, true character is forged in the fires of adversity. And finally, perhaps most importantly, having a strong why, like deep love and a burning desire to prove your worth, is the ultimate fuel for achieving what seems like impossible success. I want to leave you with this final thought. It's a question for you to really reflect on. If you were mocked, beaten down by poverty, and rejected by the person you cared about most, just like Potato was, would you have let that break you? Would you have given up? Or would you have used that exact pain to go out and conquer the city? Think about how you use the adversity in your own life. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep pushing forward, and I'll catch you next time.